And we are live. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Bassin Magazine podcast. Bassin Magazine, guys, the official magazine of the Weekend Angler. And in staying true to our brand, we have Dan from the American Bass Trail. Or no, I'm sorry, I got that wrong already. The American Bass Club.
Yep, American Bass Club.
Dan, why don't you explain to us what the American Bass Club is?
So essentially, American Bass Club, we put this together for the hardworking American guy, the weekend warrior, the guy that can't really travel and do fishing for a living. And it's getting, as we all know, that's getting harder and harder to do. There's not a lot of good tournaments out there that you can access. So we put this together. It's called American Bass Club, and we did it for that reason. What we do is we have regional qualifiers across the country. We have one north, one south, one east, one west, and one central in the United States. Those regional qualifiers are 200 teams, or it's a team event, so you can fish. You know, we want to promote family, so we want you to fish with your son, with your daughter, with your grandson, your granddaughter, but you can fish with your buddy, you can fish with your uncle, your dad. It's a great setup that way. But you're fishing for big money. It's no small deal. Entry fees are $2,000 per team. First place in each regional qualifier is $100,000. It pays down 40 places in each regional qualifier. Each of those regional qualifiers, the top 40 advance to a national championship. National championship will be held next year. The national championship is worth $250,000, and it pays 40 places down.
So the winner's going to win $100,000, and then at some point that one of those guys is going to win $250,000.
That is correct. So each one of the regional qualifiers, there'll be 40 teams that advance. So there'll be 200 teams that go to the national championship, and that national championship will then be worth $250,000 for first place. Still pays down 40 places, and all of the regional qualifiers, second place is $25,000. The top 10 get $10,000, and it pays down 40 places. So it's not a small money deal. It's something that it's designed for a guy to be able to have a shot at a big paycheck, a big entry or a big tournament event, and have it be local to them. They only have to fish one regional qualifier. You don't have to fish all five. You only have to fish one to advance to the national championship.
So, Dan, where could a guy find more information about this?
You're going to go to AmericanBassClub.com. That's our website. We're also on Facebook. We're on Instagram. But AmericanBassClub.com is the location for the website. You go there. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Dan. You're going to start being able to read it in Bassin as well.
Okay.
Awesome.
The first tournament that they have is at Grand Lake of the Cherokees here in Oklahoma. So I won't be able to attend them all, but at least I'll go up there and get some photos and that kind of stuff and share with the readers and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I put that on a crawler right there, as you can see, Brad.
Yeah, AmericanBassClub.com.
Okay, I put that on a crawler, Dan. You can see at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay. That works.
So, guys, if you want more information about this trail or any of the tournaments or how to contact them, just log on to the website that's crawling across the bottom of your screen right now.
Yeah, we have we're getting a lot of support for this. We have a lot of sponsors on board. You can see I'm wearing Striker right now. Striker is one of our sponsors. We have several that have jumped on board. And so as a member of American Bass Club, you, for one, with Brad, with Bassin Magazine, you get a 1-year subscription to Bassin Magazine with your membership to American Bass Club. You'll get discounts from all of our different sponsors. Striker, Case Plastics, Lunch Money Lures, Gamma, the Wacky Tool Zipper, Sasquatch Jigs, Eternal Lithium Batteries.
There you go.
American Legacy Fishing Outdoors. I mean, all these guys are all offering discounts through our club. So once you become a member, you get there's a lot of opportunity there for savings too, and on some of the products that are out there for the guys to use and fish with.
Sponsors always help make it tournament run well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They, we can't, obviously there's so much tackle and so many different devices out there now that you can't survive in a tournament setting without all those different components. And so anywhere that we can help, the weekend warrior guy or the hardworking guy save some money, that's the whole idea. That's the whole premise behind this.
Right.
So where is your first tournament in your Northern Division going to take place?
So the very first tournament we're doing is on Grand Lake. It's the middle of July. And then we go to the St. Lawrence River the end of July.
Wow.
Then we go to then we go to Cumberland in Kentucky for the Central in September. And then we go to Saginaw Bay up in Michigan for the North.
Wow.
In October. And then we go to Okeechobee in Florida in November. So again, all those regions are, we try to put those in areas where guys don't have to travel so far to be able to fish one of those regional qualifiers, and then they can advance to the, national championship, which will be determined next year. That next national championship will be held, somewhere in the central United States next year.
Okay.
And the list of all the tournaments are published on the website so that anglers can see them, right?
They are. Yep. They're all listed there. You can see the dates and the boat launches and all that are all listed on the site.
Now, is it traditional catch your fish and bring them to weigh in and a big weigh in and that sort of deal, or is it CPR? What's the plan on that side?
So it's a standard 5-fish format. We have partnered with Connect Outdoors. Those guys are doing a phenomenal job. In fact, they're just getting ready to launch a brand new tournament format for their Connect scale, and that's what we're using for these tournaments. The reason being is we're all about conservation. We all love the sport of fishing. We all love bass, and we want to try and preserve those fish. Up here in Michigan, where we live, we're real close to Lake St. Clair, and as well as I do that everybody talks about Lake St. Clair being the northern Okeechobee, right? It's a wonderful fishery, there's no doubt. But if you look at the history on Lake St. Clair, you rarely see a 6-pound or better smallmouth weighed in. With all the tournaments that go on, there's very few that are over 6 pounds. And the reason for that, in my opinion, and we'll just put it that way, sure. So I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, right? And this is my opinion. My opinion is that the mortality of fish, that mortality rate is higher on the bigger ones than it is on any of the other fish that get weighed in. So even when those fish get fizzed, even when they get released and they look like they're okay swimming away, you still have, a decent mortality rate by bringing those back to the weigh-in. So we've partnered with Connect Outdoors. They have a product called Connect Scale. And essentially you put an app on your phone, on your tablet, and you can connect that scale to that app. And what that does is when you catch a fish, you simply take a picture of it on a bump board, weigh it, release it, and that logs that catch to your log of fish for your team, and it keeps adding those on. You can catch 50 fish a day, and it'll tally or calculate or cull your biggest 5. It'll also call your big fish. So we have a big fish pot, and we also have your 5 biggest fish for the day. These events are also, they're 2-day events rather than 1 day. So you don't have a guy, accidentally catch a big one and kind of run away with it. It gives you a little bit of a chance to have a actual skill set of the tournament.
That's really interesting. That is really interesting, that app. That's like the next generation of these apps that have been coming along. And Brad's part of professional fishing, which is kayak angling, has been using that kind of stuff for years, but this adds a new element to that.
It does. It makes it a lot nicer because you're really doing a catch and release. And one of the first things that guys that are fishing tournaments and have been fishing tournaments, the first thing that guys think of, especially when you're talking about a big money scenario like this, is they look at it and go, okay, well, what's going to prevent a guy from cheating, right? From adding weight. Well, one of the things that scale does for me as a tournament director is it tells me the time you caught the fish, the GPS location where you caught it. That's not public, but that shows me that you're on the body of water that, and it's within the time of the tournament that fish got caught.
Okay.
In addition, on every one of the regional qualifiers and the national championship, the top 2 teams will be polygraphed at the event. A random pick out of the top 40 will be polygraphed, and the big fish winners will be polygraphed. So it's pretty simple. I mean, if you cheat, you'll get caught. Everybody knows that. That's how it works. So
yeah,
that eliminates that part of it.
We've addressed that for years, and also nowadays guys who get caught cheating also have to face legal consequences nowadays too. So
exactly.
So that's back in the day you heard about it, and I actually saw a couple guys get caught for it. A couple of big guys around where I was from won a lot of tournaments. All of a sudden they get caught cheating, and nobody wanted to fish against them again. So that's
it's a shame, but
that's a different podcast.
Yeah, exactly. That it's one of the things that you have to deal with, unfortunately. But I think we've got all those bases covered really well. We have it structured so that, again, we're trying to promote family. We're trying to get an avenue for a guy that normally can't fish for that kind of money to be able to fish for that kind of money.
Who I'd like to hear from is Brad about this application, since he's a kayak tournament angler.
So this Connect scale, they came out with one probably about 4 or 5 years ago was their first model. They've upgraded it now. Now it has, like Dan was saying, with the GPS location in it, the geolocation. On the kayak side, when we upload through the app, Tourney X is what a lot of them use. iAngler I've used as well. It does the same thing. 2 great apps. The picture shows your geolocation, so it's the backside of a photo that people really don't know that it's there. So it shows where you are when you caught that fish. We have an identifier that's in that photo also, so that we're not showing an old photo or something like that. There's quite a few things that a lot of people don't realize are in the photos that you're using as well, that the kayak side used as well.
So yeah, this has been around a while. I just think this is an interesting new twist to it with the weight.
Yeah, that is the Connect scale? So is it going to is it auto calling out?
It is.
It is. Yeah, that's great.
It auto calls. Yeah, you're able to catch, if you catch 30 fish, 40 fish, 50 fish a day, and you just keep weighing them. It'll automatically call your best 5. On the back end, you can structure that. So we have 2 online tournaments that we're doing. One is a largemouth and one is a smallmouth, a big largemouth, big smallmouth. So on the back end, I've got that one structured where it's one fish. It's just one big fish. You can catch.
Okay, so
go ahead.
So this is not going to be a pro angler co-angler thing. It's going to be teams, correct?
It is. Yep. It's a team event, and it's actually the pros as much as, and I've talked to a lot of those guys. I know a lot of those guys. They're awesome, but they're not allowed to fish it.
Right.
And what is your definition of a pro then? Let's talk about that.
Well, essentially the definition of a pro, we have it laid out in our rules. Our rules are on the website. You can look at them. It's laid out pretty well. Essentially, if you're fishing in the upper tier, and I don't want to name names because I don't want to step on toes, right? But it's in our rules. It's laid out. But if you're fishing the upper tier, and we all know what that means. There's basically 2 trails that have an upper tier.
Sure.
If you're fishing those two upper tier trails, you're fishing full time. You're fishing for a living. That you're a pro. You're not allowed to fish these. But again, if you go on and read the rules, it's laid out very, very clear on who's eligible and who's not.
Okay.
So essentially, it eliminates roughly, 200 guys out of the mix.
Yeah. The top 1%.
Yeah. Right.
And there's other tournaments out. There's a couple here in Oklahoma that say if you pay X amount of dollars to enter, you're not qualified to enter this.
Right.
So there's different ways.
There's a couple different ways to do it. I chose to actually label it in the rules. So when you become a member, you've got to read through those rules, accept them, and sign them. Part of those rules refers to the polygraph portion and all of that. So you have to accept the consequences in a polygraph situation. That all of that stuff is all laid out in those rules. But it also tells you, exactly, who's eligible and who is not in terms of, what they fish and what they don't fish.
So Dan, you're from Michigan?
Yes, sir.
What a fantastic state. I was stationed at both Selfridge Air National Guard Base and Wordsmith Air Force Base.
Oh yeah.
Two wonderful places to be when you're in your early 20s.
We are super, super spoiled here. I mean, on the wall, you can see behind me there, right there.
Look at that, Brad.
That's a 794.
794.
And that's an 8.2. So yeah, we're very spoiled here in Michigan.
Those are big flounder.
Yeah, no, you don't see those every day, but those are.
I can't even call those footballs.
Yeah, that's monsters.
Are those Great Lakes fish?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes, they are. And
good Lord.
I'm in central Michigan.
Like
so,
Golden Lake?
No, I'm about 45 minutes north of Ann Arbor.
Okay.
So from my place, I can run. It's about an hour and 10 to hour and 20 in three different directions and hit water like that, that houses, tons
like
of smallmouth.
Grand Rapids Bay, Saginaw Bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Clair.
St. Clair, Detroit River, Erie, all that. I mean, we're very spoiled here. We have inland lakes. The whole northern part of our state is loaded with inland lakes that have big fish.
Oh yeah. You fish Grand Traverse Bay too?
I do. Yep.
Bay, yeah. I did a press event with the Department of Tourism and went to Ann Arbor and a couple other places, but floated the Flint River and fly fish for smallmouth. And caught a 6. I got photos and measurements and all that. Yeah, on a fly rod. That was amazing. I've never seen anything like it. The guide was in one of those boats that they have a special name, the drift boats.
Yeah, the drift boats. Yep.
And when I hooked that fish and it jumped, he jumped out into the river and followed my line down to make sure that we landed that smallmouth. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, way cool.
That's awesome.
I was a guide for years. I jumped out of my boat one time and grabbed a 10-pound walleye. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Nice.
I needed a picture of that fish. Yes, I wanted my customers to come back, but more than that, I know if I get a picture of this fish, I'm going to be busy for the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a question. It says,
yeah,
any minimum size requirements for the boat and motor used?
Yes. We put, and I'm trying to remember now because we went over this. I have guys that what I consider to be an advisory board, guys that fish tournaments that, are across the country. So I have some really, really, really knowledgeable guys, that help me put the rules and help build and put this together. 16 foot, I think, was the minimum. And then, a motor size maximum was 250.
Okay.
You got a minimum on the motor? I mean, can they come out in a 16-foot tracker
with the 10 horse?
You have to have, it has to be essentially a bass boat. So it has to be structured with a functioning live well.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that even though we're not putting fish in the live well and weighing them, bringing them back, you have to have the ability to, if you catch a fish, for example, and for whatever reason, your phone's not turning on right away, or your scale's not turning on right away, and you have to have the ability to be able to preserve that fish, put it in the live well, keep it where it's going to be safe.
Yeah.
So that, if something happened where you weren't connected, then you had to, put those fish, you have to have the ability to put those fish in a live well and preserve them so that we can put them back and put them back safe. So
absolutely. Drop that scale overboard or something like that.
Right.
Based on series on TVs and things like that, are you going to have a boat marshal, or are you going to have just the angler and co-angler as a team, or they're both anglers, I guess, at that point?
Yep. It's just both anglers. It's just the team that's in the boat,
Okay.
and it's your best 5 fish collectively. So you fish all day. Both of you fish. You're fishing hard for the biggest 5 you can catch, and at the end of the day, that with that Connect scale, those are all live feeds. Every catch that you make is a live feed back to the leaderboard. So back at the weigh-in trailer and online, we can see all day long who's in the lead and where where they're at. It's amazing what technology is done right now. But Connect Scale has done a great job with that technology, and they're coming out. Like I said, they've got a new release coming out with a software for tournament directors. So it's designed for guys like myself that are going to run a tournament series. And that whole live leaderboard is phenomenal. It's unbelievable.
So as an angler in a boat, they catch a 4 and he catches another 4. Are they going to be able to go and say, hey, we're sitting in second, we've got to get another fish? Are they going to be able to see a live leaderboard and know where they are in the standings?
There's access where if they had access to the internet, they absolutely could do that. In the rules, you're not allowed to do that. And and the reason we did that in the rules, the reason we put it that way is, let's face it. I mean, you're fishing for $100,000. If you're bouncing from one spot to the next, and all of a sudden you look at the live leaderboard and Joe Smith is leading and you just passed him. Now Joe Smith's going to get 8 guys on top of him. Right. It's not fair. So they're only allowed to look at the leaderboard at the end of the day. You have to purposely access the leaderboard while you're out on the water. And if they do that, they're disqualified.
Okay.
So you have to, part of the rules are that you're not able to do that. You have to stay off the live leaderboard until you get off the water.
So no text from family members, hey, you're in third, keep it up, that kind of stuff, because they can see that.
No, all the social media, all the text like that, all that stuff is all, we've covered that, and the rules are pretty extensive. So
yeah, absolutely.
We've covered all of those bases, and no social media posts, no information from any groups that isolate the public, that kind of stuff. So
we talked to a lot of guys who fish tournaments, and some of the bigger guys, and they can sit there and watch the other guys, how they're doing every time they catch a fish. They get an announcement, and those guys say that adds a completely different element, and a lot of times it hurts their mental game more than helps it.
It does. Well, and it's not it's one thing to know what everybody's doing and know where you're at and understand that if you had as an example, you had 18 pounds and you're looking at the leaderboard and somebody's leading it with 21, you've got to keep working. But at the same token, more times than not, it's the other way, where where that guy is fishing, or you've seen him fishing. So now all of a sudden, there's going to be 6 or 8 boats on top of him, and it's not fair to him. So
I'm sorry if you already covered this, but what are you going to cap the top of this, the amount of people that can fish?
Yeah, 200 boats is the max.
200 boats, okay.
Yeah, so 200 boats.
All your fisheries will hold 200 boats. That's 200 teams. All your fisheries will hold that.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, there was one that this year in Alabama had 326 boats. I mean, I'm glad you're capping it at 200.
Yeah. 200. I mean, 200 is a good round number. And it's for the bodies of water that we're going to go to, that they can easily handle that, that many.
Like Saginaw Bay is absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
There's plenty of room for guys to run around and not be on top of each other. For sure.
Grand Lake of the Cherokees is big. 200 boats is nothing there. I mean, there's Okeechobee, huge. Yeah, they'll be fine. In the kayak tournaments, they, we have that app. We send in our pictures through the app. With an hour to go, they turn off the leaderboard. But if, that's so we can see the leaderboard as we're fishing. But if you're not doing that, then you would need to shut off. If it's against the rules for them to be on the leaderboard, then you don't need to turn it off or anything.
Right. Yep. No, it'll stay live, so all your family members can watch. You can watch it at the,
Now,
weigh in. Go ahead.
now, do these pictures have to be submitted immediately upon catch?
Yeah, and it's super easy with the app. The way that Connect Scale has it done, it's very easy. You snap a photo, you weigh your fish, it'll lock on the scale. You add your photo to it, and you hit save. It's simple. I mean, it takes no time at
I've
all.
talked to some kayak fishermen that one of the strategies is they wait till the last hour of the tournament to start submitting their fish.
Yeah. No, we don't want to do that. And the idea is that the whole premise behind this is that when you catch your fish, we want to get that fish back in the water as fast as possible.
Okay.
No sandbagging.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, and there's no need for that because again, the leaderboard is not exposed to the guys that are fishing. It's only exposed to people that are outside the tournament. So,
well, Dan, it sounds like you really have thought this through.
I've been thinking about this for 10 years. Okay.
10 years.
Yeah, I have. And I'll give you a little bit of history. So I coached and managed both my boys playing hockey for 16 years. Okay. They played travel hockey.
Yeah.
So you know what it's like. Everybody's got family obligations and I would never change that. I would do that 100 times out of 100 times over. I would do it again. And then my parents got sick. I don't have any brothers and sisters. So we had to take care of my parents. So we're in what Melissa, who is awesome. She's my support, just like you guys have your support, right? She's without her, there's nothing. You guys will all get to meet her, and she's excited about handing somebody $100,000 check. She says that's her only job is to hand somebody $100,000 check.
You had one job.
But so she says when we get in our next chapter, you can go fish tournaments, no problem. So we're in our next chapter now. Okay, guess what? There's not any good. I mean, I'm sorry. There's just no good place to go that makes any sense to me. And I've wanted to fish tournaments for my entire life. I wanted to do this, and I have over the years. I mean, I won a couple of the Toyota series, and I've done that
good
kind of stuff. A lot of these guys, but at the same token, there's no good avenue right now. There's nothing that makes any sense. You can't go out there unless. Even if you're self-employed and you have basically $50,000 to $100,000 extra that you want to just chuck out there,
and that's a year,
you can go fishing, and that's if you already have all the equipment. That's if you already have the boat, you have you have everything that you need. So for the average guy that's working hard, that has a job, there's no way they're ever going to have a shot at anything anywhere near this without something like this platform. There's no way. And that's why I'm doing it. I'm very frustrated that there's not anything out there that's available. This is a throwback, in my opinion, to where back in the day where there weren't all the cameras and the social media and all the stuff going on. There, all that was not available. Guess where most of the money went at that time? Most of the money went back to the angler.
Oh.
Right? So most of the money went back to the anglers at that time. Now most of the money goes to media, goes to, cameras, it goes to all this stuff. So my statement is that, everybody talks about rich and famous, right? I'll make you rich, but I'm not going to make you famous. We're not going to be out there with cameras chasing you around. We're not going to spend the money on all that. The money goes back to the angler. That's the idea.
Yeah. Are you gonna have any coverage like that for the championship?
Yeah, I mean, when I say we're not going to do anything, I mean, I got a guy that'll run around and take photos and do that kind of stuff. And obviously we'll end up with some media coverage. Bassin Magazine's going to do some coverage of each one of the events and what happens, what the outcomes are, the results. And so, yeah, there's stuff that we are going to do for sure. But, to take the money and the proceeds from the tournament and take it out of the anglers' pockets to pay for that stuff we're not doing that.
Right.
No, we're not doing that. So like I said, it's kind of a throwback. It goes back to the days where, way back in the Redmans and stuff where the There was none of that stuff, right? You just got, you went out and you duked it out and got some money,
Nobody knows what a red man is anymore.
I do.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
The Red Man Tournament Trail, yeah.
The Red Man. That's that was my first organized tournament, was a Red Man.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that was a long time ago. I'm trying not to tell everybody how old I am here, but come on.
Was the Ever Starts?
That was
changed 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
The Sicko Bassmasters, which they had to stop, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's been a lot of history there for sure.
Yeah. Now I'm showing how old I am, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great that there's another avenue for the weekend angler to be able to go out and, chase a dream and to get there, and you're paying 40 places out of 200. That's more than one per 10 like they normally pay. So
yeah, it's again, the whole premise behind this, and the guys that are on the backside that have helped me organize this and put this together. Everybody has the same thought process. I mean, it's by fishermen for fishermen, and it's designed for the average hardworking American guy to be able to have a shot that would otherwise never have one. And that's why we're doing this.
Right. That's great.
Boy, I tell you, man, Dan, I'd like to thank you for coming on to the Bassin Magazine podcast and sharing with our viewers about this trail that you have contrived over the course of a decade.
Yeah,
years in the making.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, like I said, I've always thought in my head, there's, it's a shame that there's no good team trail, because, you could fish it with your daughter, you could fish it with your granddaughter, grandson, your son, there's nothing there that has any decent money attached to it anywhere in the country. And there's so much talk right now about all these different trails and the lack of payouts and how expensive everything is. And nobody's really doing anything about it. So I decided to do something about it, and this is kind of where we're at. So we're trying to move it forward. So what we need, on our end is just, we need to get the word out to everybody and get them signed up and get them in one of the events so they can get a shot at $100,000. We'd love to hand somebody one of those checks.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we can't do any of this stuff without our sponsors. I mean, like I said, I was talking about the sponsors. The Striker, as an example, I've got their clothing on now. They've got some pretty cool stuff. That their rain gear is absolutely second to none. And I've had a lot of different ones on over the years, and I've had some of the better ones on. I've had some ICAST award-winning ones on, and I'm telling you, the Striker gear that I have right now is unbelievable. You do not get wet when you wear that, and I do not like to get wet. I don't know about you guys. I don't like getting wet. So that's awesome.
Where you live in Michigan, like 2 months out of the year, it's 40 degrees or below.
Yeah, it's too cold to get wet. One of the coldest days I ever had was in the middle of July on Lake St. Clair in the middle of a tournament. I was freezing to death.
Well, if it's 40 degrees with 20 knot winds and, geez, I bet.
Yeah, another sponsor we have is Case Plastics. You got to check those guys out. They are pretty innovative. They've got a new little, it's called a little pintail worm. You need to check that out from Case Plastics. That thing is
if you'd like phenomenal. To take a couple minutes, just do a quick run through of your sponsors.
Yeah.
So we've got obviously Bassin Magazine. We appreciate that. We appreciate the support. You guys are phenomenal. Without getting the word out, like I said, we're dead in the water, right? So, having the support of you guys behind us and having the support of all your members and all of that to help us push this forward is phenomenal. And we're blessed to have that. So I can't thank you enough for that help and support. Striker is like I said, with the clothing, they're one of our good sponsors. Case Plastics, Lunch Money Lures, Gamma Line, Dale at Gamma. You guys phenomenal, super nice guy. If you haven't met him or you haven't talked to him, go to one of the fishing shows and meet him, check their line out. Their line is awesome. It's awesome. Like We catch, you see those smallmouth right on the wall. Last thing you want to do is stick into a 8-pound smallmouth, the smallmouth of your life, and have that thing go one way and your tears going the other way, right? Because you don't have a good line. So spend the money on the line, get a good line. Gamma's got a good one. The wacky tool, everybody knows the old wacky tool. Got to have one of those. If you don't have one, go out to Fishing Complete and get one. Zipper worms, Sasquatch jigs, eternal lithium batteries. Those batteries are awesome. The lithium, those lithium batteries, those nowadays, the lithiums are obviously the way to go. They're super light, but these guys have it dialed in. They have a phenomenal warranty.
You can buy a 24-volt battery. What a cool thing, man.
Oh yeah, they have 36, they have 24s. It's unbelievable. And the warranties are phenomenal. So if you buy a standard lead acid battery, you're gonna replace that lead acid battery 3 or 4 times before the warranty runs out on your lithium. So it makes no sense to you spend the money on the lithium and be done with it. And those lithium batteries
hernias, saves on all kinds of things.
Yeah. I mean, it lightens the weight of your boat. They're substantially lighter. So American Legacy Fishing, Pure Fishing, they're all kicking in, contingency, items at the end. Those guys are all throwing in stuff for the winners, and it's awesome. We have, all the support like that is amazing. And what we're doing is we're trying to promote and have all of our members support all those guys. All of those are all small local business, right? You go to your local tackle store and you buy those products. I mean, those are the ones that are there, and you're supporting your local tackle. I mean, around you guys have some great tackle shops that are close to Grand there. Those mom and pop shops are the ones that's grassroots America. And that's what this is for. This is for the hardworking American guy. And it's all about that. America right now is basically, it has been and still is supported by the small business guy. Right.
Absolutely. Right.
And so we need to continue to support them. That's just how it works.
Yep. Jay, you have any more questions?
I really don't. He's covered everything absolutely thoroughly. I'm very happy with this guest. Great talk, Dan.
I do have a question on Facebook Live, and we might have covered it at the beginning, but it says explain the payout is based off the full amount of 200 boats. If there are only 100 boats, how's the payout?
It's the exact same percentage. It's about the payout runs out at about roughly 85%, which is unheard of in the industry. In that, regardless of if it ends up being a 100 boat field, it'll still be the 85%. That percentage does not change, because again, that the money coming from these regional qualifiers, the majority of that money goes back to the angler. I mean, obviously with anything that you're doing, there's operational costs that have to be covered, but the whole idea here is that we're not buying cameras. We're not doing all the different things that have typically have started to be done like almost on a regular basis with most of the tournament series that are out there. And we're just not doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dan. And also I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to the Bassin Magazine podcast. Bassin Magazine, guys, the official magazine of the weekend angler. And you know what? Have fun this weekend.
And you have a tournament that you can enter for the weekend angler, AmericanBlassClub.com. Go check it out. Dan, thank you.
We
Jay,
do.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.